Peyton, maybe that's Charlene, or not. And Trina. What's up, guys? So welcome, and we'll just give the rest of the peeps maybe a minute. Elizabeth, hi. Guys, if you can hear me, it depends on whether you're watching it on your phone or your computer or something, but down here, somewhere at the bottom, you should see some buttons that say Q&A or chat. And if you can hear me, please go to the chat and say, yes, I can hear you. And that way I know, because this is going to be quite interactive. So that way I'll know for sure that you're here. Yes, Elizabeth, right away saying, yes, I can hear you. Perfect. We're just going to give it a minute. Trina says, yes, awesome. You're going to need some pen and paper. So if you have it around you or not, this is a perfect time. Yes, Shar, perfect. Thank you so much. You're going to need some pen and paper, guys. So I definitely suggest you get some. If you are watching this on your phone, then yeah, you'll definitely need to take some notes. The more notes you take, the better, the more you're going to get out of this. All right. It's going to be an awesome webinar, awesome training on the Life Mastery Wheel. We did this yesterday with a few people, very much in private, and it was incredibly valuable. So for you to get the most out of this, please make sure you have pen and paper, you have your glass of water, grab your phone and put it like face down, somewhere else so that it's not distracting you. This is not going to take long, and it's going to be really, really valuable. So awesome, perfect. Looks like everybody can hear. Let's see. Yeah, we are going. What is up with this? Okay, awesome. Go live. Alrighty, guys. Are you ready for this? So first and foremost, who has heard of the Life Mastery Wheel? Have you ever heard about the Life Mastery Wheel? Yes or no? And where did you hear about it? Because it is a very powerful tool that I honestly didn't know anything about. So it's incredibly useful, but I didn't know anything about it. So I'm curious to know if you had heard about it yet or not. Elizabeth says yes, just from me a few weeks ago. Awesome. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen. And in that screen, we're going to be going through the webinar. Again, pen and paper are very useful. I expect a lot of engagement. And at some point, I'll just full on stop to hear your guys' feedback and to hear your answers and your ratings, because that's how I help you get the most out of this. All right. So I'm going to share my screen now, and please let me know if you can see this. So hopefully you can see the presentation and you can also see me. So please let me know in the chat if you can see both the presentation and myself at the same time. Elizabeth says yes. I'm not sure if that's what she's talking about. Yes, Alicia says both. Perfect, guys. Awesome. Okay. Trina says yes. Awesome. Perfect. All right. So Life Mastery Wheel. This is something that I was only going to release to a very few of you guys, like, just with the 42-day detox, and or if you were an online client, but a remote client. But honestly, I decided to release this to all of you because it has such transformative power. As you know, I am someone that invests a lot of time, effort, and resources into my personal growth, and this is game-changing. So I hope that it has the same effect for you. So Life Mastery Wheel is a tool that has been made popular by Tony Robbins, who says too many people are caught up with making a living and not designing their life, right? So if at any point in your life you've experienced this feeling that something is not right, that something is missing, this is going to help, all right? I hope you're excited for this. Let's center this a little more. All right, so I want to tell you this because depending on how long you may have known me, you may not know. kind of like where things were 15 years ago for me. Okay. 15 years ago, I had just arrived to Canada, and I literally had $150 to my name. Because of that, I couldn't afford a better place to live than a tiny little place that literally was infested with mice. It was gross. I didn't have a job. I knew no one. As you can imagine, it was quite different, right? So I tell you that so that you don't think that I am here talking and have never gone through struggles, right? Now, my attitude, not just at that moment in 2005, but for the next almost 10 years after that, was one of victimhood, right? Like things happened to me, and I was very reactive. I was unstable, emotionally unstable, right? Reactive just meant that if something happened, like my reaction was immediate, and it was very visceral. There was no bigger perspective of what things were going on. I literally felt like I had no choice but to react the way that I was reacting to the events that were happening around me. It felt like I was the passenger in my life. So have any of you ever felt like that? Like you have no choice but to react the way that you're reacting, or that you have no choice but to feel the way that you feel? That was very interesting. And I mean, now, of course, now life looks a little bit different. I have a beautiful family with a beautiful dynamic that we love spending time together, and we were just wrestling upstairs, all four of us. I have a thriving business with a lot of responsibility, but I love it. A lot of financial stability, which I never, ever, ever had. I remember whenever I would read someone saying like, or the internet saying, you should save up 3 months worth of expenses. I was like, are you kidding me? Like, I can barely, like, I couldn't make it to my next payday without it was always painful the last few days before payday. And I was like, who does that? Like, who has money in their bank account at the end by the time payday comes? But I do have that financial stability now, and I have freedom to work when I want, how I want, with whom I want. I literally don't work with anybody that I don't want to work with. And purpose, because what I do, which bringing this to you is part of that, it fills me up with purpose. It really makes me feel that I am doing something good with my life in this world. And my attitude is one of ownership. Now, if any relationship around me, if anything happens around me that where the outcome wasn't ideal or what I was expecting, I always look at what I did or what I didn't do, what I said or what I didn't say, or maybe how I said it that may have led to that end result. I am always taking ownership of things that happen around me. I am proactive. I instead of reactive, and because of that, I feel much more stable in every sense of the word. It feels like everything is my choice, therefore my responsibility. If it is my choice, then I am the driver, right? And it definitely was a gradual process, but I wanted to highlight this because it's depending on how long you've known me for, you could be like, well, what does that guy know? So awesome. Trina and Alicia say yes, they both have felt like that. So let's move on here. So the life mastery wheel, we all hear these quotes, right? Oh, life is less what happens to you and more how you react to it. Life is in your hands. We all have heard that. And I remember being so cynical about things like this. And I was like, okay, yeah, great. But now what? Like, I understand that I need to learn how to react better, blah, blah, but how? And that's where I was stuck. So this, in this day and age, we live incredibly busy lives. Sometimes, you have a demanding job or like family that requires a lot of work from you, or maybe you have 2 jobs and you name it, and then responsibilities on the side. It is normal to devote more drive and focus into one particular area of your life, right? what would it be for you? What is one area of your life that often requires the majority of your focus? What would that be? Drop it in a comment, please, if you don't mind. It could be work, it could be family, it could be friends, it could be like kids. Elizabeth says work. Yeah, for sure. Trina says work too. All right, there you go. Alicia says my daughter, that's on the autism spectrum. Yeah, 100%. That is normal, right? There are going to be areas that require, that demand that intense drive and focus. Now, the problem is that when that happens for a long time, it creates frustration and intense stress. Why? Because other areas have to pay the price. Other areas that we remove our focus and our attention from in order to dedicate it to this area that is really demanding, those will suffer the consequence, right? So that is normal, that is being human, but that is when it really pays off to pull away from what's going on and get a helicopter view of your life. Helicopter, and that's literally what the Life Mastery Wheel does. And what it allows us to do is it allows us to identify what areas of life we are excelling at and what areas of life we just need a little more work. Which areas we need to work a little more at. And then I did a little bit of research as to how to structure this so that there could be some actionable, specific items that you walk away from this training with, so that you know not just where to focus, but what to do. All right. So let's get ready to do the work. Grab pen and paper. I hope you're ready for this. Let's just have a look here and see if there's any comments on our live feed. Nope, I don't think so. Sweet. All right. So we're going to get started, guys. So, all right. So this is what the wheel looks like. I'm going to move myself over here. So you've got 5 major areas. You're going to see online different versions of this. That's fine. This is the one that I went with because it felt to me that it was the most complete of all of them. All right. So we're going to be looking at all of these areas and how they break down into subcategories. So with this, we will improve our love life, our social life, our creative life, business life, and our life's purpose. So at first glance, guys, which one of these 5, love life, social life, creative life, business life, or life's purpose, which one of those do you feel you need to bring it up a bit or step it up? In which of these areas could you use the most help? So Alicia says, Elizabeth says love life and social life. All right, awesome. Trina, what about Trina? Life purpose, awesome. All right, Alicia, what do you say? Which one of those areas could you use some help in? Which one of those feels like the area that's kind of lagging behind, or that where you struggle the most? Can you guys see the chat too? I don't know if you can see the chat window as well. Alicia says, sadly, all of them. Elizabeth says, no, you can't see the chat. Okay, cool. So there you go. So if you want to send me something in the chat that is private, you can totally do that. Alicia, I actually commend you for saying all of them. The only way you are not going to see value from this is if you think that there's no improvement to be made. All right, so great. You can improve on all of them? Great. That is great news, because you've made it so far with you needing a lot of help in every one of those. So imagine when things get a little better in every single one of those areas, it's going to dramatically improve your quality of life. So awesome. Okay, so this is extremely important. What comes out of this, guys, it literally has the power to transform your life, but you need to be 100% honest, all right? Again, like I said, the worst, it will be a waste of your time if you pretend that everything is okay. And something that I'll do to hopefully help you with this is I will share my own shortcomings when I look at my own life mastery wheel and where I'm honestly dropping the ball. And when you can allow yourself to be vulnerable like that, that's when you're going to see some real value from this. So I'm really excited for this, guys. All right. So as when we look at the wheel, there you go. So in every one of those areas, you can see how these major 5 areas break down into subcategories, right? So love life divides into partners and love and family and friends. Social life divides into community and environment. Creative life divides into health and fitness and fun and recreation. Business life divides into money and finance and career and work. They're very different, and I'll explain in a minute. And then life purpose divides into growth and learning and spirituality. So what the concept is to rate the areas, each one of these areas, from 1 to 10. But the reality is that we can't even begin to rate it if we don't know what a 10 out of 10 looks like, right? I was like, when I was piecing this together, I was like, all right, rate it, but how? Like, how do we know if we're a 3 out of 10 or a 7 out of 10, right? So, sorry, you're gonna have to put up with my dad jokes while I do this. But okay, so first area, love life. I thought this is like an easy one to start with because we can all understand it quite well. So love life divides into family and friends and partners and love, right? So in this particular subsection of love life, we're talking about family and friends, not your partner, not your love life, none of that, all right? So here is the first part of this workbook. What is the ideal scenario for you? What would a 10 out of 10 look like for you when it comes to family and friends? And it may take a little bit of time for you to define that. If you can think of a definition quickly that for you are like, I know exactly what my ideal scenario of family and friends would look like, then drop it in a comment right away. But to be honest, like I struggled with it. It wasn't super easy. All right, so Alyssa is here. Awesome, Alyssa, welcome. And Shar just got home from the gym. Perfect, guys. Okay, so first here, please, what does your 10 out of 10 look like when it comes to family and friends? I can tell you that for me, I would prefer a very small group of very close friends, and I'm literally talking 2 to 3, like. And I would like these friends and I to see each other maybe once a month. And I would like for us to have that kind of friendship where I can like literally tell them when I feel off, when I'm not motivated. Like I can be vulnerable with them. In my family, I would love to see them a lot more often. As you may know, my family is in Mexico. So Trina says to have my family and friends living close by. There you go. So if they're really far away, you don't have anybody around you, that is tough. Maybe, Trina, maybe it would be to have family and or friends here, right? To create some of those bonds, right? With family and friends right here. Tanya says, sorry, I just connected. Do the answers need to be realistic, achievable? My assumption is yes, but just check. Yes, thank you for that question, Tanya. 100%. Like this, you need to believe that it is, like you need to aim right there. Like, of course, if you're like family and friends, I want to be friends with the whole world. Of course, that would be, but yeah, if you're like, I want to have like a ton of friends. Like I want my phone to not stop ringing and like everybody's always inviting me out or for dinner. Like, yeah, 100%. Family, if you're like, my mom is a pain in the butt, but I love to have an amazing, beautiful relationship with her. 100%. That's where this goes. We need a 10 out of 10, right? Elizabeth says, I would like to have quality over quantity, who builds each other up and supports each other through everything and anything. Family would be more vulnerable and open with each other and no judgment within each other. Nice. Awesome. All right. So in this area, again, we've defined what a 10 out of 10 looks like. And, depending on some of these areas are going to be easier for you guys. Some of these areas are going to be trickier. There were some that I was like, I have no idea what to write or what to say. The point of this is that you would be able to pause this later on and do this work, right? If for whatever reason you get stuck or we move on, because it's really powerful. So, okay. So now you had your time to define your ideal scenario when it comes to family and friends. And now it's time to rate your life in the family and friends category. Okay. So here are a few questions to kind of like get us going, right? How good is the communication between you and your family? How close are you to your family and friends? How strong is the bond between you? How much quality time do you spend together? And here, something that jumped out for me was, if you ask me how much quality time I spend with Katie and the kids, I would say plenty. If you ask them, they wouldn't say that, right? They would say not enough. And obviously, if I care for my family, then I care about their perspective as well, right? I care about them getting what they need from me as well. So, how much quality time do you spend together? Not enough for me. That would be my question, right? So, how much room for improvement is there? And then with these questions or any other questions that may pop up for you, how would you rate family and friends in your life? From 1 to 10, here's the kicker. You cannot choose 7. All right? So it's either a 6 or lower, or it's an 8, 9, 10. So avoiding 7, what would you rate family and friends? Tanya says, it would be a really cool idea to do this separately and then go over your answers with your wife, husband, or life partner. See what answers are similar and what answers are different and why. Could be a really cool date night. 100%. 100%. Oh man, like I'm like blown away that I have only just discovered this, but I'm excited because that means that there is that much room for improvement in every area of my life. So that's a great idea, Tanya. Okay, awesome. So guys, what did you rate family and friends at? Does anybody feel comfortable sharing? And remember, this is for you. There is 0 sense in judging. So Trina says 8. Awesome, Trina. Elizabeth says, can family and friends be a different rating? Yeah, absolutely. See, Elisa says family 6, friends 8. Yeah, 100%. You can average it out, or you can subdivide that if you want, 100%. Elizabeth says, just like, yeah, perfect. Friends 8 and family 6. I would say that for me, believe it or not, I don't know if, like, please tell me if this is like, yeah, I can see that, or if you're like, I don't believe that. I am quite, like, I like to be alone. Like, I am an introvert in that sense. Like, I can definitely have fun around people and what have you, but I prefer to be alone, and that can be damaging to relationships, right? So for me, just because I'm thinking, like, if I ask them, like upstairs right now, they're watching a movie, right? Like they just finished having dinner and I am here and it's the last hour before Max goes to bed, right? They understand and they don't like throw it in my face, but I would give myself a 6. Definitely plenty of room for improvement. Awesome. Tanya gives herself a 6. Perfect. Thank you guys. Write that down. Okay, let's move on. Now, partners and love. So what is the ideal scenario here? What would a 10 out of 10 look like? And look, let me, something that I shared when we did this yesterday was kind of how I got myself to find Katie, because I was in very messy relationships after I separated from Alexi's mom, and at some point I was like, what is the matter with me? Like, why am I taking on these like life projects? Like, why do I feel compelled to fix someone? Like, it didn't make sense, but I recognized that I had been there several times before. So I literally Googled, why do I do this? And I started reading and everything. that led me to sit down and write down everything that I brought to the table. Any quality that I thought could be worthwhile throwing out there. If we were like, if we were like, I don't know if a mating call is a thing anymore, but like if I was like showing my cards, like what would those cards say? What were my qualities as a partner? And then I wrote all of those down. It was not easy because we're our harshest critics, but I wrote all of those down, and then that made me feel really good. I was like, fuck, like I am worth, like, why would I not expect at least this from someone else? Like, why would I tolerate any less? Why don't I deserve at least this? This is what I'm bringing to the table, so why wouldn't I? And that like really got me going. What that ended up translating to was a list of 10 very specific traits that I wanted in my life's partner. And it took me a couple of nights to put it together. But once I did, it was game over. It became so easy to be like, check, check, nope. And that was it, done. Like not even the time of day, because there was no point in wasting my time. And it also made it very easy to identify it, to realize that it was in front of me when it was in front of me. So partners in love, what is your ideal scenario there? Do you have a partner that you live with, or do you live in separate houses? Like that could be a thing. Do you how often do you go on dates? How often do you travel by yourself? How do you support each other? Like 10 out of 10, what would that look like for you? And remember, the only time when this tool loses its usefulness for you is if you're like, well, there's zero room for improvement. Elizabeth says, what if you're single and don't have a partner? That's fine. What would the ideal partner look like for you, Elizabeth? What would that list of 10 things, or maybe 20, what would that look like? Trina says, a partner and relationship with honesty, intimacy, and open communication. Yeah. So, perfect, Trina. Thank you. The more specific you can be, the better. So, for example, a partner and a relationship with honesty, where we tell ourselves things, even though they may be uncomfortable. A relationship where we know that we have each other's best interest at heart, so we won't take what is shared the wrong way, because we know that we're in it, right? We have that open communication. That's what it looks like. If you're unhappy, you tell me, we'll sit down, we'll figure it out, because this is it. We're not going anywhere. This is it. So we'll figure it out with love, instead of man, I was so that mess relationship that I was in before I thankfully found Katie. Yeah. Like shit would fly, like things would fly through the house. And I was like, what the hell? That's not what I want. And intimacy, what does intimacy look like, right? Again, guys, 10 out of 10. This is where you literally get to pick, right? So Elizabeth says, a balanced relationship with support, communication, vulnerability, and value. I like that, and value. With quality time over quantity, as in the past, I worry more about how often I see them versus the time that actually brings actual value. Yeah, 100%. So, you could be like, okay, quality time. What's quality time for you? If quality time is going for a walk instead of watching TV, you'd be like, we go for a walk, at least once a week, for an hour, and we talk. And that's quality time. The more you can define it, the more powerful this is. All right. So now we get to rate our partners in love category. All right. So how good is the communication? Do you share the same vision for your life? Just because you are in the same spot right now doesn't mean you want the same out of life. I think that is one of the strongest, strong points. Is that what I said? Fail. Of my relationship with Katie, where we share the same vision. We want, my parents to live here. We want to take care of Katie's mom when she's, older. Like, we want that family atmosphere. We want those Christmases. We want all of that. How supported and how supportive are you? Because we need to realize, the saying that we all have our shit, it's true. So just like we want to be supported, we also need to be supportive, right? How much quality time do you spend together? And again, if we were to ask that partner, what would they say? Because I can tell you, Katie would say, not enough. Katie definitely gets the short end of the stick, for sure. All right, so how much room for improvement is there, right? So, okay, so here's a great question. Elizabeth says, what do we do if we aren't rating a current relationship? Rate past ones? No, you rate your current state. So if you feel, for example, that maybe, somebody yesterday literally gave herself a 0 out of 10. She was like, I've spent the last 20 years of my life being a mom, and it's terrifying to get out there again, and I don't even know where to start. So yeah, absolutely. All right, so yeah, Trina gives herself a 1. Thank you, Trina. Man, guys, the honesty and vulnerability are literally the combination for making shit happen. Elizabeth says 1 as well. Well done, guys. My communication with Katie is good. We have this dynamic where if it is something that we really need to sit down and have a conversation about, she will email me, because that way and usually, man, I always get this at 9 in the morning. It's almost like the first thing my first email, and it's usually a long ass email, but this gives me we know how each one of us processes all this shit, right? So she knows that I need to read it, and I need to take, I'm not kidding you, the whole day to process it, the whole day. And so the last time that this happened, which was only 2 weeks ago, I was like, I am just acknowledging your email. This is not a response. Thank you. I love you. I was like, I go through the exact same emotion. I was like, how dare she, blah, blah, blah. Doesn't she see how hard I work, blah, blah. I do it for our family, blah, blah. But I know better than to send that as a response. I give myself time, and then we sit down and we have a good talk about it. So our communication is really good. Our vision is very much the same. I think that quality time could definitely improve. If you ask her, it's definitely nowhere near where she'd like it to be. So, and because I can't give myself a 7, I'm going to give myself a 6, because I don't feel an 8 is accurate. If I asked her, if you ask me, we're a 9.5. But I think that's kind of that's us guys, right? We tend to think that everything is fine. Tanya says, an 8 in this one. I feel Lee and I are blessed, but I guess I'll find out if he feels the same when I force him to do this on that date night. That is awesome. Perfect, Tanya. Awesome. And Shar said a 3. Perfect, guys. I love that honesty and that vulnerability. Okay, now we move on to social life. And social life breaks into 2 different categories. One of them is environment. The other one is community. So environment, what is the ideal scenario here? For myself, when I was thinking about this section, I thought environment. You mean the grass and I don't drive electric, but what I understood was your environment can be your work environment, your home, your car, I don't know, where you spend time, whatever it is, everything that is at your reach, right? Within your reach. I can tell you that a 10 out of 10 for me would look like a tidier place, I would like to clean my car more often, things like that, right? To create that, to curate that environment, so that for the longest time I would not even dare work here in the house. So I was like, I can't do it. And then you should see where my computer is sitting right now. Like it's like rigged with like a box and whatever. And actually something that I bought from you, Tanya. But yeah, now I like it, and I have my lights and everything. And now I like my environment. It is productive and it makes me feel good. So define that, and then let's go into these questions to sort of give us an idea of how we feel about our environment. How positive is your environment? How do you feel when you think about it? You know, I wrote this because I know that when my area is a little messier than usual, it bugs me. And the thought of coming home to work at home, it is not a thought that I enjoy. I'm like, oh, okay, fine, but I'm gonna have to tidy up first, you know? So let's see what's next. Does it inspire you, or does it create stress? How proud are you of your environment? How much room for improvement is there? What do you guys think? Like when you're rating your environment, where does your mind go automatically? Like, does it go to your work environment, or to your home, or to your what? Like, what do you think of when we say environment, and what is what rating do you give yourself? I feel that I would give myself, like thinking about like my home specifically, it is full of love and laughter, and we're always wrestling and hiding and playing hide and seek and crap like that. But it's definitely a lot messier than I would like it to be. There's a lot of things that we don't need. So it feels crowded, so it feels a little bit stressful, you know? So Shar says home, and I give myself a 4. Awesome. I was going to say I give myself a 5 because, yeah, there's a giant, like Walmart size bag of toilet paper sitting right there. We bought it yesterday, and it didn't make it any farther than right there. And I'm like, what? So, yeah. All right. So Trina says home and personal space, less chaos, rating of 6. Awesome. Make sure you're writing these numbers maybe at the top of your page, all right? Or as you go, make sure that you write the number and then you circle it, because we'll need it again. All right. So Elizabeth says, keeping up with my cleaning duties and decluttering. I read duties. You didn't say duties, but I find myself letting go during the week with my basic cleaning. So by the weekend, I'm overwhelmed. Yeah. I know exactly what that's like. My mom and my sister are coming to visit. They arrive on Thursday night, and we are going to be cleaning like for the next 2 days, because we always let that happen. Tiny says, I have worked hard to make it look nice-ish, but 3 boys / men in the house makes it tough. It also isn't the house I love. It is practical, but not where I want to be. So it is hard to want to make it nice when I want to move. Yeah, that makes sense. Now I understand, because Katie's always like, when we buy a house, I'm going to keep that one super tidy. And I'm like, you're just saying that. All right. So now, community. They progressively get a little bit trickier, because community, I was like, what do you mean community? Like, so let me show you the questions that I came up with to rate community, and see if that makes sense for you. I try to think of like our town, right? Like our community, our people around us. So what is your relationship with your community? How are you regarded in your community? I think this is important. Everybody always says, oh, fuck what everybody else thinks. But the reality is that we play roles in life. You play the role of being a mother, being a daughter, being a friend, being a coworker, being a teacher, being a, you name it, an insurance lady. You play those roles. How are you regarded? I think it's important. If, imagine a homeless person, and if we asked him or her, hey, how are you regarded? Probably he or she probably wouldn't say very, in a very good, loving, open manner. And that would definitely affect how he feels about his community, right? How much do you get from your community, and how much do you give to it? How much do you contribute? Is it, do you donate your time? Do you donate money? Do you donate clothes? Do you sign up for like charity events? Like, what do you do? Something that I've wanted to do for a while. And the last time I told Katie, she she laughed at me was do something like with the brothers and sisters, like big brothers, something like that. And I understand why, because she's like, you barely have time like for your family. I was like, damn it, you're right. But it's never too late. So how much room for improvement is there? In this one, I'm gonna give myself an 8 because I can't give myself a 7, and a 6 feels too low. A lot of the stuff that my mom always told me, when you do something good, you don't go around telling people, and I like to help everywhere I can. So an 8. My mom would be proud. Shar says a 6. Awesome. Yeah, when you take the 7 out of there, it really makes it tricky. Like 6 does not sound good, and 8 sounds a little bit too good sometimes. But it's funny how removing 7 forces us to really observe what's happening. Tanya, I'm curious as to how you feel in this area, given that you're a teacher. How about you guys? How about you, Trina? How about Elizabeth? How do you guys feel? How about everybody else? Alicia, you've been awfully quiet. Hopefully you're not watching TV by now. Natalie, Juanita, what's up, guys? Come on. Shaughnessy, come on, bring it. They think they can just sit by and have Netflix on the side or be browsing Facebook? Come on. Elizabeth says, honestly, I feel like I'm not exactly sure I can answer this one. Yeah. These ones get, like, in my opinion, they get harder as we go. They definitely get complex. So Tanya says, complex, LOL. I hope that the community feels I give an 8 in my workplace, but externally, outside of my job, I wouldn't give an 8. Oh, interesting. Really interesting. Like if you think about this, we could literally stop this madness right here and like dive deep into that, and gold would come out of that, right? Like that's why this is so powerful. Juanita says, is this where I respond? Yes, it is, Juanita, thank you. And she says, I say a 2. All right. So it's interesting. Natalie says, I don't know if this comment works, but I would like to do more for animal volunteering. There you go. Elizabeth says, oh, okay, I like that. That's so true. I would say 9 for my work, but external, 2. All right. Juanita says, I just started a new job and it's been tough to find the energy with my kids and family. Good for you for recognizing this. Alicia says, busted. No, it's bedtime for kids. So I'm taking this all in, and I'm going to go back when my kids are sleeping, and I will be able to give my answers. Trina says, I only live in my community. I don't currently participate or contribute. So Trina, going right back to the first thing that we mentioned, right? What was it? Family and friends? Yes, family and friends, right? And your 10 out of 10 was to have friends and family nearby. And then here you go. Community, you don't really participate. So no wonder, right? No wonder you don't feel like you have those connections around you. Don't worry, we're going to get to the part where we get very specific about what to do to help it. And the more engagement we have, the more we're going to be able to help each other. So that's awesome. Okay, so Natalie said, okay, so 0 for now, since I just moved to this community. Awesome. Thank you. It can only go up from there, right? Tanya says, it's definitely something I want to do more of. My dad was well known for his business and integrity and well loved in the community. I want that to be my legacy. Boom. Boom, boom, boom. Now you're talking. All right. So this is like the easier part, because health and fitness, like that's a way where it's very easy for us to quantify how we feel. And Juanita just says, yes, I do feel a lack of connection. If I was back in my home community, yeah, Tanya says, not being in a podium, but more, she was a good person and treated it all well. Yeah, 100%. Okay, so health and fitness. Tanya says, oh God, this one's a 2. So before we rate ourselves, we need to define what the ideal scenario is, right? Because think about it. Like, the ideal scenario does not have to be having a 6-pack, because you need to be realistic, and like if you want to be like the fittest version of yourself, there's going to be some things that you're going to have to give up, right? So this is where we define our ideal scenario. And by the way, guys, if you want to get me going, if what you want is to lose weight, you should feel comfortable saying whatever it is that you want, okay? Me or no one is anybody to come to you and tell you you shouldn't want that. This is about you, and that's all that matters. The whole reason why I started to lose my 80 pounds back in the day was because I felt disgusted when I saw myself in the mirror. I did. Nobody came and told me that. Nobody made me feel like that. I felt like that. And when people would give me positive, when people would say nice things about me, and like I would just smile, but I'd be like, you're full of shit. How could you be saying that? Like, look at me, right? So you could say that the one thing that got me started in this path was pure vanity, like extreme, like entirely external. And look where it has led, right? If I hadn't done that, I wouldn't be where I am. I wouldn't have made changes. I wouldn't be sharing this with you today. So screw what anybody else says is politically correct or not. All right, so Juanita says, 10 would look like someone who is happy with what they can do physically and how active they are in their daily life. 100%. You know what? Why? And I would even throw in there, while being able to enjoy blank. Something that I love is pizza and tacos. And I would love to, like, for me, it's kind of a non-negotiable. Like, I want to be able to eat that food. Not every day, but eat it, and yes, often. So I need to understand that that because I am choosing that, I will never be like 0% body fat. We define our 10 out of 10. So Natalie says, 10 out of 10 looks like getting to my goal weight of 145, 150-ish, and then building muscle AF. Daily, that would look like having daily workouts, whether dog walks or strength cardio. And yes, fucking 100% vanity is part of the why. Yeah, Juanita says, I love my good food too. Yeah, 100%. So we define first what we want, right? And if you're like, I want my ice cream, like I want dessert, like 5 days a week, I want to have some dessert. Doesn't matter, like it doesn't have to be a whole bucket of ice cream, like 80 pounds ago, Miguel, we used to have for dessert, but some ice cream, damn it. All right, so now that we've defined what our ideal scenario looks like, how would we rate ourselves in that category? So how healthy do you feel? How fit? How strong? How is your energy? Is there something that worries you about your health? How much room for improvement is there? So given these questions and any other question that may pop up for you, what would you rate your health and fitness to? What would you rate it at? Elizabeth says 10 out of 10 would be balanced with my workouts, eating habits, and also mental health. Noticing my workouts as punishment after a night out with the girls and some chips. Awesome. So yeah, I mean, the further down you go to get very specific, the better this gets. So when you say balanced, do you say not gaining or losing huge amounts of weight, but rather enjoy like a healthy body that can go out and have a blast one night with the girls and have a few drinks, have some chips, whatever. But then also you can just go right back to, your regular lifestyle, which includes workouts and generally eating really healthy food there, right? The crazy thing is sometimes when you define that really well, you're like, oh, I'm actually not that far, but if we're comparing it to some, fluffy idea of a 10, then good luck for us getting there, right? So Natalie says, I think pretty good at the moment, 6 out of 10, only because of the snow. Focusing on nutrition, just because of not being able to get to classes at Driven to kick my butt. Alicia says, right now I'm at a 0. I need huge improvements. Thank you for sharing, Alicia. Elizabeth says, I would rate myself an 8. because I have some room to grow with the eating habits. I am strong and active and feel I do great with my workout. I wouldn't be going up and down in the weight loss and weight gain, just maintaining where I am now and being happy with it. Awesome. That's perfect. Yeah, you know what, guys, to be honest, I mean, can you guess what I would rate myself at? Health and fitness? Like, drop a quick number. What do you think that I would rate myself at right there? Dun, 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 dun. Trina says currently a 6. Juanita says, yes, I haven't gained weight in years, kept it yourself, so a balanced 8. Natalie said an 8. Juanita said a 7. Alicia said a 6. Elizabeth said 6 because you can't choose 7. And Natalie says you're focusing on the business. So, yep, you guys are 100% right. I give myself a 6 because I can't choose 7. My mind really wants the 7. And yes, because we are, I always say this, focusing a lot on the business. We have some big goals for this year. So you guys know, but identifying that is the first step to changing it, right? Thank you guys for keeping me honest. That's awesome. Okay, fun and recreation. Man, did I ever have a hard time with this one. What's the ideal scenario for you guys? Like when it comes to fun, like shit that you do for fun, like how much of it would you like to do? What would a 10 out of 10 look like? This one, when it came to the rating myself, I literally had to go and ask for help. I'm not kidding. So can you guys think of what, like, so for example, for you, Elizabeth, you were talking about going out with the girls, like when it comes to fun and recreation, what's the ideal scenario? Like how often would be ideal for you? And what would a 10 out of 10 look like? Like, would you go out, would you, like what, like once a week, twice a week, once every 2 weeks? What would you do? Would you dance? Would you have some drinks? Would you get some good food? Would you dance? Yeah, like the more specific, the better. All right, so let's see. Fun and recreation. Anybody has a 10 out of 10 that they'd like to share? We're in the creative life section, by the way. We're just ending it with fun and recreation. So, all right. So Alicia says, being able to go out with the girls at least twice a week, either it be a movie or just for coffee for chit chat. Yeah, that's good. Trina said yearly vacation. Natalie said, oh my God, hell no. No 10 out of 10, like 3 out of 10. Yeah. So check this out. And again, these are just questions that came to me as I was trying to rate my fun and recreation. All right. Like for you, other questions may pop up and that's perfectly fine. Juanita says 0. I would go out, but I don't think it is as fun as maybe off-roading or hunting or swimming or beaches, new experiences. Yeah, totally. So Juanita, the good thing here is you get to decide, right? So if for you, fun is off-roading, hunting, swimming, all of that. How much of it would you like to do? You know, would you like to do something that has to do with that once a week, twice a week? To take like a whole week, I don't know, every 3 months and like go off into the bush and like, you know, like it's totally up to you. Totally. Natalie here said, I need to focus on FaceTimes with friends in van. Yeah, you know, we got to do what we got to do. Holly Barker, for me, fun and recreation relates to social as well as health and fitness. Yeah, 100% it can, right? And I think that's like the best of both worlds when one activity can cover 2 or more, right? That's why, I mean, honestly, guys, I mean, every one of you guys here is part of Driven, and that's part of what makes Driven special, right? That we can create these connections with each other, and that we can get to know people, and that we can choose to open up, right, and create stronger connections and stronger bonds. And when we're having a tough time, we can have that support, and you know, we can also laugh while we're sweating and suffering at the gym, right? So, all right. So, how much fun do you have in your life? How often do you allow yourself to be silly? This is something that popped up for me because I normally tend to be quite silly, but I don't think I let myself be that often. You know, like I don't know, I may have done this to you, but like I've done it to several people where like you're walking into the gym and I'm hiding behind the door, like literally like this, like to jump and scare you. Not long ago, I literally hid in a cardboard box like this to be able to scare someone when they came in. And I love that shit, but I don't do it often. You know, I'm too like stuck in my role. You know, Tanya says, I'd love to do a standing night with my good friends once a week where we go out, we have dinner together, and or just do a fun event. Also vacation once a year with my family. I need adult time. I spend a lot of time with 8-year-olds. Now he says, DP gives so much more than support than I've had in any other gym. So yay support. Aren't we always silly? Well, not always. Like at least for me, I look at how often I'd like to be in that playful mode, and I'm definitely not there as much as I'd like to, you know. Elizabeth says 10 out of 10 would be being with the girls once or twice a week, doing drinks, dinner, coffee, or a hot yoga class, getting our asses whooped, having a family dinner once a month with all the Dutch food that we all love and adore. I'm trying to do something new and out of my comfort zone every 3 months or so. I would rate myself out of 6. I didn't let loose enough and enjoy the moment. I don't let loose enough and enjoy the moment, being silly, goofy, and laugh until I cry. Yeah, I would give myself a 6 as well. Do you feel like you can't relax or be yourself? Alicia said, maybe I try to go through life with silliness. If not, I would probably go crazy. Yeah, 100%. This was a question that I went to Katie for. Remember I said I needed help? I went to Katie and I said, hey, Katie, I'm going to ask you a question and I need you to not answer it as my wife. And she's like, okay. I'm like, do you think people would say that I am fun to be around? And she stopped and I was like, okay, anytime now. And like, she stopped to think a little bit too long. And she's like, well, she's like, at work, like you're surrounded by people and like honestly, constantly being like, I once counted 127 messages in one day. Like, so yeah, a lot of messages. So she's like, you know, you tend to be in work mode. But when you're around somebody that knows you a little more, and if you like them, she said, then you'll really show that side of you that is a lot of fun. But I was like, that's not really that helpful because that means that maybe only a very few people get to see that, right? So definitely some room for improvement there for me. So guys, what would you rate yourself at when it comes to fun and recreation? Like for me, I don't need to be really going out and doing fun things. Like I'm a homebody, but I could use more, like to be more playful, more to spend more time in that silly mode, right? Where I'm like, whatever, man. Like, you know, Juanita says, it depends who you ask. I am fun, but depends on who I'm with. All right, Juanita, thank you. That kind of makes me feel a little better, maybe. And Natalie says, for you, I think it's the issue of having to wear 2 hats and that stuff. Yeah. Oh, Natalie, you've gotten to know me so much in such a short time. For those of you that may not know, Natalie's our newest recruit in the Driven crew, and she's working very, very closely with me, which means she has to put up with my incessant requests. Tanya says, interestingly enough, I had a bit of an aha moment the other night in the bath. I started reading about people who have anxiety and living in survivor mode. It dawned on me that I have been stuck in survivor mode for over 20 years. Just knowing why and that there is a reason for it made me understand why I don't allow myself to enjoy fun things a lot of the time. Pretty cool. I now have a lot of work to do, but at least I understand and there's a rationale for it. I love that because when you understand it, you can almost disassociate. You can be like, all right, here is the event or series of events that led me to behave like this or to feel like this. There's the event, here is me, and here's the decision that I made that led me to behave like this. Event, me, and event. You are not who you portray at certain times, right? You are not this person that is closed off It's just that based on those experiences, they affect it. That's what we all have to navigate, right? Um, Trina says, I feel I'm only A1. I need to relax and let people in. Thank you, Trina. Guys, just like even you just dropping it into a comment instead of just like taking it in here and being like, I'm not writing this. Because you probably feel the pull to pull away and to not share it. So even you just dropping it here in a comment, Trina, is huge. So proud of you. Juanita says, I could use more time being silly. I rate myself at a 3 with all other questions combined, but I am hard on myself sometimes. Yeah, me too. So I would rate myself at a 4. Not to like one up you, Juanita, but like that's the number that came to me first, 4. So it's all good. We're not here to convince anybody that we are magnificent. You know what I mean? That's not what we want out of this. Okay, so business life, money and finance, and this again, it's very different from career and work, right? What really comes to mind here is just those super hard times. Holy smokes, like my first job in Canada was literally 16 hours a day, folding cardboard boxes, and making under minimum wage. It was $7 an hour, I think, and I could barely, I couldn't, like, always the last 3 to 4 days or more before payday were like, yep, I know you're hungry, but like, what you gonna do? So, what's your ideal scenario? Money is neither good nor bad. It's all what you do with it, right? So, the reason why we want money, or at least we don't want to waste our money, is because of what we believe it'll bring into our lives. So, for example, if what you want is to travel, and you want to, for example, be able to enjoy a night out with your friends, like obviously you need enough money for that, right? So what is the ideal scenario for you guys? Juanita was just commenting on the last one. I could use more time being silly. Oh, that, right. We read that one already. Awesome. Thank you, Juanita. So then when it comes to rating yourself in money and finance, here are a few questions. So how financially stable do you feel? Do you have savings or an emergency fund? Again, I find that hilarious because for the longest time, I remember whenever I'd go to my bank and I would take like my last $20 out of my account. You know how you get your balance and your little receipt and like zero, or like, the 0.14 cents, because it's never zero, right? It's always some cents. And I'd be like, I wonder, like, who would ever, like, and sometimes I would like literally look for other little slips that were around the ATM, and I'd be like, oh, this guy has $1,400 in his account. Oh, like, what? How? Payday's tomorrow. Like, it made no sense. So the idea of having savings or an emergency fund, I was like, what? Like, no. How does one get to that point? How often do you worry about money? I literally, there were several times. So on Thursdays, I used to work. So at some point, I used to work at a thrift shop where we just organized donations. And on Thursdays, an older gentleman, I lived in Parksville. So this guy would drive to Costco, get like literally old bread into a bag from Costco and bring it to the shop and donate it. We were not allowed to sell food. So that was like always in the staff room, in the cafeteria room or whatever. And I would always go in there with my backpack and like stack up on the bread, yo. And then it was old bread and peanut butter for like a few days, 2 or 3 times a day, just to like literally like have something in your stomach, right? So how often do you worry about money? How would you describe your spending habits? Because I can tell you, so look, for me, when it comes to money and finance, I've shared with a lot of you guys that my big goal is to bring my parents here, right? Um, the town where my mom and dad live is extremely unsafe, like literally the most unsafe area in all of Mexico, literally, and not for tourists because there's no tourists there. Everybody's like fleeing the town, but that's where my dad has his job, and he's like this close to retiring. So if he walks away right now, he gets none of his pension. So my goal is to bring them here, and I'm not there yet. Like obviously I want to bring them here and be able to take care of them. But I can tell you, like I may not be anywhere near that, like eating donated bread anymore. But if I controlled my spending habits better, I would make progress towards that goal a heck of a lot faster. Right? So Elizabeth says a 10 out of 10 would be not feeling I am living paycheck to paycheck, and to be able to go out with the girls, have a monthly yoga class pass, and travel once a year to a new place. I would want to have an oh shit fund. Oh, that broke into another message, and I was like, what? An oh shit fund, and using $50 a paycheck into put that into it. Yeah, 100%. There you go. Perfect. Nice and specific. How much room for improvement is there? So for me, I'm going to give myself an 8, because I definitely could do a lot better with my spending habits. And thankfully, we are stable. We have a little bit of savings. We don't have to worry too much about money. We don't own a house yet. We don't own anything. That's probably why we don't worry about it. Because we have nothing to worry about because we don't own anything. Trina says, I'm an 8. I'm living within my means and be able to travel with family, friends, partner. Awesome. All right. So now we separate from money and finance to career and work. So what is the ideal scenario here? So for example, when I was working in that cardboard box folding facility, well, folding was my job. They did more than that in there, but I was literally standing next to a conveyor belt, guys, for 16 hours a day, and like boxes would roll up. I would fold it and I would put it back. Like 16 hours a day. Like my feet were like destroyed by the end of the day in my hands. Cardboard does something really weird to your hands. I don't know if you've ever experienced this, but when you're touching cardboard all day long, your hands get like super dry. It's almost like it steals the oils from your hands. So that was not fulfilling work at all, so okay, Tanya was talking about money and finance, and she says, oh man, I'd say a 6. We need to manage better. Awesome. And then Natalie says, when it comes to career and work, get my personal trainer and nutrition certificate on my way. Yes, you are, Natalie. Elizabeth says, right, I don't have an oh shit fund. Oh, we're talking about that one. And can be impulsive. So work on living within my means and not going over the top. Learning balance. Awesome. So Natalie says, ideal situation would be as an online coach. Awesome. Elizabeth, right at a 1. And Juanita says 6. Always room for improvement. So you just got that new job too, Juanita. So that's awesome. So here's just some questions that I thought of. How fulfilled do you feel with your career, right? For me, like my last job that I had before jumping to do Driven full-time was at Shaw Cable. And it was a good job and it paid good money, but I was selling internet, I was like, walking you through your options when it came to different landlines and whether you got HBO or not. And it was like $32 a month, and people, were like, "What? $32?" You were like, "Yeah, man, it's a channel. Like, you don't have to get it." Look, that's what I was doing with my life, right? And I craved, like, as soon as I got a feeling for, like, I helped one friend lose some weight, and it changed his life. I was like, "Oh shit, this is what I want to be doing." So, how fulfilled do you feel with it? How would you feel if this is what you would do for the rest of your life, or some variation of what you do right now? Like, if this is what you were to do for the rest of your life, how would you feel about it? Interesting questions. Um, what would you do if money was all the same? Like if no matter what you did, um, you make the same amount of money, would you could you see yourself continuing to do what you do, or would you be like, fuck that, I'm out? You know, Tanya says, I feel really good about this one. Just finishing up on my master's and graduate in June. When I grow up, I want to be a principal. I'd give myself an 8.5. Nice, Tanya. I absolutely love being a teacher and can't believe I get paid to do it every single day. There you go. When you feel like that, like when you understand, like obviously, like Tanya feels like this because she knows that the work that she's doing, like literally can make the difference day or night for one of these children, right? So it's through what our work represents that we really get that fulfillment, right? Natalie says, I was a lawyer at a big Vancouver firm and was not fulfilled. I couldn't really help people. That's why I left. Coaching, you can actually help the individual. So 7 out of 10. Awesome. Now, but once you get your certificates and everything, you'll be able to do a lot more. Absolutely. Awesome, guys. And here, like, does your work energize you or does it deplete you? Right? How much room for improvement is there? Like, this don't necessarily mean, like, it doesn't mean that you need to, oh, lately my work has been stressful, so I guess I got to look for another job. Like, not necessarily, but, you know, but if you recognize that sometimes their demands go a little bit beyond what they should be, you can at least be like, hey, like, I actually like this job and I want to do a good job, but like this feels like too much. Like you can voice that, right? It all spans from getting very clear on this. Okay, awesome, guys. So we're gonna move on to the next stage here, and this is the last stage, and this one feels a little bit not. I don't know. Maybe you'll help me find a better word to describe this, but it's a lot more complex, a lot more difficult to define and to rate, I found. Maybe it'll be different for you. So Juanita said, I feel fulfilled work-wise, helping people with diverse needs find sustainable employment. Best feeling in the world. I do see myself doing more in a year or so. Better pay as well. Awesome. Trina said, I would love to work with children or the elderly. My current job is an 8, so it's okay to settle. Yeah, you know what? With children or elderly, like I don't think I have that in me. Like children, yes, because I enjoy being around children, but elderly, like I don't think I could. So hats off to you. Hats off to you. Okay, so growth and learning. What's the ideal scenario here? What would a 10 out of 10 look like? This one, when I was trying to think of what questions to drop to kind of help you with it, yeah, this one was a little bit tricky for me to voice. Growth can be defined by the kind of problems that you encounter, right? Like the idea is that we are constantly facing new challenges instead of going through the same problems over and over again, right? This is obviously not something that changes from one day to the next, but over time, right? If you're always struggling with the same things, all it means is that in that particular area, you have some growing to do, right? So I define my growth by the amount of new problems or challenges. The more I'm like, oh, that's new. I have never had to deal with that, and I don't really know what to do. So I got to go and figure it out, learn it, you know? Also, for me, my ability to withstand external situations or opinions or people or what have you, like that is what I look for when I'm trying to figure out if I have grown, if there's been personal growth. You know, if I take it too seriously, if I take it too personal and I get all defensive, that's like, I know that shouldn't be the case, right? All right, so here's a few questions to like get you going. How much personal growth do you feel you've had? How much do you invest in personal growth? And that's what I told you guys a few weeks ago, that I really understood that my role, my goal and driven now. Like, see, back in the day, I actually saw a reminder on my phone today. You know how it goes, like 5 years ago, and it shows you a picture. 5 years ago, like my role within Driven was basically every single role, right? Like I taught every class, I cleaned the place, tidied up, paid the bill, you name it. Went shopping for more water or toilet paper or whatever. And now I understand that my role has to be to help you, to challenge you with bigger items like this, because our trainers do an amazing job with the classes, and our team does an amazing job at keeping the place up. So I need to help you with this. So because I know that our time and resources are limited. So if I can help you with this, it's just one more thing that you're getting from Driven, right? What is one area that you feel you need to improve on? For example, for me, like I am not a very patient man, and I need to work at communicating with someone whose communication style is very different than me. So literally, one of the coaches that I've hired to help is precisely going to help with that. We're going to be putting our team through this tool that helps us understand how each person communicates, so that we can communicate even better with each other, right? So I know I have a great team, and I need to learn how to lead better. This is a new situation for me. So Natalie says, I get bored easily, so I want to learn all the things. LOL. I want to help people that are on the same journey as I am. Natalie, I think that is why we work so well together, because I'm like, let me know when you have a little bit of room, because I need to teach you something. And you're like, all right, teach me now. So yeah, so that's awesome. Do you ever get the feeling that something is missing? I shared in a previous video that back in the day, like there was this weird period of time when Alexei was just born. His mom was working, and she worked like with airlines and whatnot, so she was away a lot. And I was at home, and I was getting EI. She was getting her pay, and we were doing okay money wise. I was staying at home with Alexei while she was working, and sometimes she'd be gone for like 3 days a week at a time, right? And Alexei and I, like Alexei was tiny. Anyways, I remember all of a sudden feeling, for lack of a better way to describe it, a void inside of me. I felt there was something missing. And my mind automatically went to, I better buy myself something nice. So I would start, like, I couldn't go out because it was a pain in the butt to leave with a brand new baby in Montreal, where it was like super snowy and everything. So I would shop online. The crazy thing is, I would find a site, and of course, we didn't have like $1 million, but we could buy ourselves, like I could have afforded to buy, I don't know, some sneakers or a shirt or a hat or a video game or something. But the odd thing was that as much as I was shopping online, I knew that every one of those items would not fill that void. I was like, oh, that looks good. Yeah, I could afford it. And then it's almost like I took the big hole inside of me, and then I took this item that I was shopping for, and then I would like try to match it and be like, no, that's not going to fill it. And I just knew that it wouldn't. So I was like, so now what do I do? Because up till then, the only way that I knew how to fill that void was buying something. Isn't that crazy? Anyways, has that ever happened to you guys? Maybe you're like, what the fuck are you talking about, man? Natalie says, I want to help people that are on the same journey. I am the feeling of something missing, feeling like I can positively influence someone's life. Seeing some of the transformations you have done is what I'm aiming for. Oh, super cool, Natalie. Trina says, at 10 is to accept my codependency and to be able to communicate my needs and be aware of my intentions. I don't need to control outcomes and learn to not listen to the committee of assholes in my head. Wow, Trina, that is gold right there. Self-awareness, guys. One of you guys made a post today and said, if you could give one thing to your children, what would it be? And I said, self-awareness. I think that's the basis of all growth. So good job, Trina. How much room for improvement is there? So for you guys, when it comes to growth and learning, what would you rate yourself at? This life purpose section is definitely trickier, and it's like, I don't know. In this one, I would give myself an 8, maybe an 8.5. Um, I literally choose to make less money than I could so that I can invest more money into learning, being coached, attending workshops and masterminds and things like that. And I did more than ever before in that section last year, and I definitely noticed my personal growth skyrocketed. So I'm like, all right, I need to do a lot more of that this year as well, because if I learn something, then I can bring it to you guys, right? So yeah, what would you rate yourself when it comes to growth and learning at? Juanita says, I feel like I'm at an 8. Growth happens daily right now, especially this past summer, relationship-wise. Nice, Juanita. Yeah, we really just need to be able to stop so that we can analyze the patterns that we keep repeating, right? Or the patterns that we have stopped repeating. Because otherwise you don't notice if there's growth, right? Like if you feel like lost right now and you're like, I don't know, 0, like maybe you just haven't stopped to look back and to like do a self audit. Like, where were you 3 years ago? How did you feel 3 years ago? Yeah. So Natalie says, I think I'm at like a 9 or something, just because of the change of careers to do something that is more worthwhile and actually helping people as a coach rather than as a lawyer for larger corporations. Awesome. Holly says, 2, I used to rock this category, but the change is huge in the last few years. All right, Holly. So we're going to get to some action items about that. Shar says, 2, this is the one area I've been struggling with a lot lately. I feel like I'm constantly in boss and mom mode. Wow, Shar. Thank you for that honesty. You know what? Actually, guys, Shar, I have to give you credit for this whole thing right here, because chat's hands. Because I saw, see, as much as I may be inundated with texts and everything, I pay attention to the shit that you post on Facebook and everywhere else, and I saw, Shar, that you posted something about something like, I may need a hobby or something because I feel like my life has been like reduced to like tracking calories. And I was like, that doesn't mean there's anything wrong with tracking calories. It means that you are reducing the entirety of your life, the entirety of that wheel. You are reducing it to one tiny little section. So I was like, I need to find a way to help everybody else there, because there's always other people that are feeling the same way, and not everybody voices it. So, Shar, thank you. So Tanya says, I think that's a valid point, that I know I don't do enough. Stopping to look back at how far I've come instead of fixated on what I haven't gotten to yet. 100%, guys. You know what? One thing that I am about to embark on again, January 31st, I'll go away on my second retreat, yearly retreat. And this is literally me and my like tiny group of 3 other friends, and we take each other apart. Like, we give ourselves the most brutal of feedback, and super honest, like super blunt. And I did that for the first time last year. We went away, we spent like 2 days in like a cabin, like literally no signal, like no Wi-Fi, like legit. And we came out of that and we were like, our minds were blown. And that's where the idea of doing a driven retreat came from. And it was transformative. I'm about to go again, like I say, with those same guys to like revisit everything and see how we did. And so you guys are the first to find out that soon we will be announcing our next driven retreat. So we did one last year, and it was incredible. We took 10 driven members, and we rented a humongous wood cabin. It was beautiful, and we had like our food prepared, and we literally went through a series of tools like this to really get down to like what we're going to do to improve our lives. So super powerful. But if you don't stop to look at it, you don't realize how much growth there's been, right? Juanita says, like the other comment, I am also acknowledging my codependence issues more so that these past 6 months, same, I need a new hobby as well as other than fitness. Yeah, 100%. Like fitness is important for your body and for your mind. But if that is all that you, like if when you look at your life, like it's only made up of that, yeah, you're going to suffer the stress and frustration that comes from those other areas, being at a 2 out of 10, right? So Natalie says, focusing on mid to long goals is so important, 100%. All right, so this is the last one here, spirituality. How are you guys doing? How many of you are looking at your phones? Let's see, who hasn't commented here in a while? Shauna still hasn't commented. Everybody else, Alicia maybe still dealing with the ketos. All right, spirituality. What is the ideal scenario here? This will mean something different for every single one of us, right? I was raised a Catholic, and I loved it. Like I was in the choir. Like I loved, like if the priest asked me to like go up there and read the, like, who wants to volunteer? I was like, me. Like I loved it. I was a kid, and I could feel just how much lighter I walked out of church every Sunday. So I loved it. But when I moved to Canada, that changed big time. The first time I tried to go to a church here, the priest or whatever was from freaking Ukraine or I don't know where, and like I could not understand a word of his English, and I spoke like full English when I came here, and I could not understand it. So I was like, oh, okay, well, there goes that. But then I started learning a little more about all their practices, and I liked some of the ideas behind Buddhism and meditating and things like that. And that's when I have felt the best. When I was meditating often, I felt very connected, right? So for you, what's your ideal scenario? What does that look like? I mean, spirituality doesn't necessarily mean, oh, here, let's look at the questions. Miguel, you already did this work. You should know this. So how connected do you feel? Oh, Shauna, I get more out of listening than speaking. I'm here, though. Good, thank you. Okay, so how connected do you feel? God, the universe, humankind, the energy, the force, like whatever you want to call it. But how connected do you feel? I can tell you that for me, because I've been there, where I got to a point, guys, where I was meditating like half an hour every day. Like I loved it. If my friends wanted to go out, I would be late because I didn't want to stop meditating. Like that's how crazy, how good it felt. And of course, it's a practice, and it took me a while to get there. But because I know the deep peace that came from that, the strong sense of connection, I also know that I don't have that right now. So I don't feel very connected. How much emotional pain is there in your life? I don't know how that came to me when I was thinking of questions, but what resources, books, or people could help? You know, this kind of goes back to what we talked about when it came to the environment, right? Our environment needs to be conducive to our goals, right? If you're surrounded by people that are like, I don't know, those type of people that are always seeing the bad in things and super negative and trying to bring everybody down, then that's how you're going to feel, right? How much presence do you bring to your life? This is a part where, man, I could do so much better. See, the fact that I am impatient is a clear sign that I am taking this role. Like, we all play roles, right? Mother, father, teacher, friend, whatever. My lack of patience is a clear sign that I'm taking this role too seriously, right? One of the phrases, man, you know what? It all started with a little tiny book. I have it in there somewhere, by the Dalai Lama, and it just had like quotes, and then it would have a very short paragraph that would go a little more into detail. And there was one that said, "Nothing real can ever be threatened." And I was like, what? Yes, nothing real can ever be threatened. And, when you feel fear of losing something or someone, that is a clear sign that we have somehow missed, that we're not feeling as connected as we could be. This is getting deep, guys. Like I said, it gets trickier, but this is the last one. So you must be like, what the hell is he talking about? Natalie says, body image is always such a huge pressure. Operation Beautiful, a book, helped me so much. It helps to accept yourself as you are, rather than not being happy until you are perfect or ideal weight. Yeah, 100%. Nat, that was one of the things that I also, it was a very drastic change in my mindset. I think that's when I understood that there was so much more to each one of us, so much more than what we see. It's when I truly understood that our bodies were nothing but a vehicle, right? And that everything is impermanent around us, everything. So that it made no sense to draw a sense of pride or a sense of identity, a sense of worthiness from the way our bodies look, because that's the first thing about us that will disappear. Like, that was the first time when I understood it, when I was like, boom, okay, I know what that means. I understand it, I feel it. Yes. And it changed a lot. I remember when I had my 80 pounds, I remember, like, if I was doing like push-ups or mountain climbers, I would be doing, like this, right? And I would look down and I could see my belly like hanging, right? I remember being like, oh, I can't wait until that's not there. But and now I'm like, doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if I have my six pack, or if I'm rocking a too much pizza lately. Like, it doesn't make me a better or worse person whatsoever. So how much presence do you bring to your life? That for me is a big deal, because I can definitely be there, like sitting next to my family or my friends, and be engaged in, like, and here I'm thinking, oh, that 124th message is probably Casey wondering, like, if I did what she asked me to do to her account, like, So Juanita says, mindfulness and awareness of self. I feel connected to the Creator daily. It took me years to have those, to create the rituals I needed to feel one with my surroundings. People would always ask me, people I don't even know, how are you always so calm? I may not look like I am overwhelmed at times. I just know how to breathe through it, blocking it out. Yeah, it's crazy. When I was doing that deep like when I was deep into my meditation practice, and I was going through my divorce, which wasn't messy, but it was definitely an emotional time, right? I remember a very good friend of mine was like, how are you so calm through all of this? Trina, perfect. I'll get to you in a second. He was like, how are you so calm? Like, this is one of the worst things that anybody could experience in their lives. Like, and I was just like, I just know what I do every night, like, for 30 minutes. And it started with like 3 minutes a night, right? But yeah, that piece was huge, funny. I totally know what you mean. Shar says, I feel like I lost a good part of my spirituality when my husband passed. It's been a few years, and I'm still finding it hard to bring myself back. I am thankful for my kids. So for that, I give myself a 1. Awesome, Shar. Thank you for sharing. So Trina, we're going to get to the very specifics of like what to do. And guys, is there anybody else in here that currently or in the past has developed a meditation practice? And if you have, please let us know in the comments so that we can all share. Because the way that I learned to meditate, from what I understand, can be very, very, very different from, like, there's literally like an unending amount of ways to learn how to meditate. So yeah, if you have meditated, please drop it in the comments. Okay, so now guys, here's where we go. We need to fill in the circle. Okay, so what do your numbers look like? If you don't mind, you should have 10 numbers right now. So please drop them, just like 10, 8, 8, 2, 6. Like, just drop them right now in a comment, please. Let's see what numbers we've got. How are you guys doing? Is this like, I hope that this is valuable for you guys. Awesome. Amanda, Daisy, perfect, guys. Thank you. Drop it in there. So what are your numbers? Let's have a look. Okay, so here we are, back and back. All right, so, this became really tiny. Where are the comments? Okay, I'm just waiting for your numbers, guys. So give me your, Tanya says, I didn't write them down, but I will be doing it again and I will do it then. All right, awesome, Tanya, thank you. So Shar has a 5, a 3, a 4, a 6, a 6, an 8. Sorry, 6, 6, 2, 8, 8, 2, and 1. Thank you for that, Shar. Anybody else? Don't tell me Shar is the only one that wrote down her numbers. Juanita says, it is great. 2, 8, 0, 7, 6. Yeah, everybody will have different numbers, guys. And now I'm going to show you what a balanced wheel looks like and what an unbalanced wheel looks like. Natalie says, oh my God, I didn't write any of them. It's all right. Elizabeth, 6, 1, 6, 9, 8, 6, 1, 4, 6, 5. Perfect. So for those of you that didn't write it, you may be able to remember. Otherwise, you can go through this again. Trina got an 8, a 1, a 6, a 0, a 6, an 8, and a 6. Okay, so I'm going to show you. Check this out. So on the right, I literally looked at my hand. Did you see that? On the right, we have a balanced wheel. And then we have an unbalanced wheel. I like this because it really shows, like, in my mind, a balanced wheel would be like, they're all 8s, or they're all 9s, or 7s, or whatever, but they're all there. And that is crazy. That is insane. We are human, right? So balanced, there's still some items there that are definitely below, right? So you can see how in the social life aspect, in the green area, there are 6s. And then in the life purpose area, there are 7s. And then every other area is a little bit higher, right? That is considered a balanced wheel, all right? Now, the unbalanced wheel, you can see how there's some items, out of 2, out of 3, could be a 0, whatever, right? So what does that look like for you? This is where you can draw a circle, and then you basically need 10 lines, right? 10, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Yes, you need 10 lines, and you can draw them out like that. And what does it look like? One of the craziest things, something that would make you feel very overwhelmed by this, would be if this person, let's look at the unbalanced wheel, if that person tried to fix 8 areas. Okay, money and finance looks good, and growth and learning look really good because they're both at a 9. Everything else needs fixing. Like, well, that's 8 areas. The more areas you need to focus on, the less you're actually focusing, right? So here's the tool that will help us identify what we need to do for each one of these. All right, we're almost done, guys. So first, you pick one of these areas. Okay, so let's start with the area that you rated yourself at the lowest. What would that be for you guys? Drop it in a comment. Growth and learning, spirituality, money and finance, career and work, health and fitness, fun and recreation, environment, community, family and friends, or partners and love. Which one of those areas did you rate yourself at the very lowest? So Tanya says health and fitness. Elizabeth says partners and love. Bring it, drop it. Drop it like it's hot. The amount of bad jokes that I'm making, guys, if that was an area of this wheel, I'd have a 10 in it. Elizabeth says, and money and finance, both were a 1. Shar says spirituality. Awesome, thank you. So you take one area, okay, and we move on to this. In order to improve, and you put that area in there, one thing I will stop doing is blank. So please drop in a comment, what is one thing that you have to stop doing in order to improve, Tanya, your health and fitness? What is one thing you need to stop doing? Elizabeth, when it comes to partners and love, when it comes to money and finance, what is one thing? Focus on one of those. Partners and love was the first one that came up. What is one thing you need to stop doing? Shar, when it comes to spirituality, what is one thing you need to stop doing? And guys, sometimes, Trina got this. So in order to improve socializing and community, what is one thing she needs to stop doing? Hiding in her house. Thank you, Trina, 100%. Shar says, I need to stop being so hard on myself. 100%. So one thing I will start doing is, okay, so let's use these examples, guys. Please drop them in the comments if anybody else has theirs. Elizabeth says, I need to stop wanting it to develop overnight. Okay, I need to be patient. Perfect. So what is one thing you guys need to start doing? Shar, what is one thing you need to start doing in order to not be so hard on yourself? Trina, what is one thing you have to start doing to stop hiding in your house? And the more specific you can be here, the better. For me, I'll tell you that my lowest area was the spirituality. And one thing I need to stop doing is telling myself that I'm too busy, that I don't have time. And the reason that I don't meditate anymore is because I'm too busy to meditate. Oh, Miguel back then could meditate because he didn't have a business. He didn't have, employees. He didn't have like a big family. He didn't have. I need to stop using that as a crutch. And one thing that I said I need to start doing is I just need to start practicing again, right? So then, okay, so how do I get more specific about that? I literally was like, what days? Like how many times a week? And I was like, well, maybe, I don't know, 3 days, 5 days. And then I was like, perfect. At what time? For how long? Where? So I forced myself to get as specific as possible. And you know what I ended up with? Let me see if I can show you. I'll stop this and then I'll share my calendar. Blah, 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 blah. Share screen. Okay, so this is one of my calendars. And here, as you can see, I am about to get a reminder that says, get ready to meditate. And I get it every single night. So I literally just created this yesterday because I realized that if I don't put it in my calendar, it doesn't get done. So that is what I need to start doing in order to actually make it happen, right? Because we know it won't get done if we don't take those steps, right? Okay, so let's move on. Okay, so we're gonna look at the chat. I know there's some comments coming in. So, where are we? All right, Tanya said, I need to stop putting myself down. I have to be okay with not being able to work out as hard as I used to be able to. Perfect. Trina says, I need to take the initiative to connect with an old age home to visit with seniors. Yep, 100%, Trina. And how often would you do that? Like, where are you going to search for that opportunity? Like, the more, and when are you going to do it? And how long are you going to dedicate to it? And like the more specific you can be, like, be the annoying, boss, or the annoying accountability coach that is like, you're going to do that? Okay, let me know as soon as you've done it, or send me a sweaty selfie. Like, like the I need to see it. So Shar says, I need to love myself unconditionally and see things in a more positive light. 100%, Shar. So maybe something super specific would be every single night and every single morning, you will begin your day and end your day with gratitude. You will write down 3 things that you're grateful for. You will write down one trait about yourself that you're proud of. Something for you, not like I'm a good mom, but like you as a human being. And you'll write that down and put it on a Post-it note, or save it in a notebook, save it in an app on your phone, like a notes app or something like that. Like, compile that so that when inevitably your mind wants to play those games, you can tell it to shut the fuck up with all of the positives that you'll have written up, right? Elizabeth says, I need to start keeping myself busy and being patient with a potential suitor comes along, and not seeing them more than 2 times a week so that I can develop feelings over time. Super personal, but that's okay. 100%. And you know what, Elizabeth, something that will help is for you to get very clear on what is it that you bring to the table. Because it is normal to all of a sudden find someone and and to want to be more with that person, right? Or to want to be all the time with that person. But if you feel that they that you're the best possible partner, that that they're lucky to have found you, you're probably going to be more patient, right? You're probably not going to take it so fast, right? You're going to take your time, because you understand that you can't just go and say, yeah, sure, I'll go with you, right? Because you have a lot to offer. So you need to be mindful, right? I like that. I need a list of what I bring to the table, 100%. And that is difficult. Like, the first 2 or 3 will come up real quick, and then it gets a little bit trickier. Now, here's a good one, guys. How will this impact my life? So for me, I need to improve my spirituality. I need to get back to meditating. One thing I need to stop doing is telling myself that I am too busy to do it. One thing I will start doing is meditating every single night. How will this impact my life? It will allow me to be more present. It will allow me to be more patient. It will allow me to not take myself and this role so seriously. It will allow me to be a better dad. It will allow me to be a better husband. It'll allow me, if tonight was my last day on earth, I would regret not having given them my all. So that's I can't keep ignoring it. When I realize what is on the line, like when I answered this last question, now I am aware of what it is that I am choosing to actively ignore if I don't do this. If I tell myself, like when my reminder comes up and says, hey, Miguel, time to meditate. If I ignore that, I am actively choosing to put myself in a situation where I am being a lesser parent than what I want to be, to a point, to a degree that I know that would be my one regret if I died tonight. Fuck, I don't want to die with regrets, right? So that's why that last one is very important. How will it impact your life and the life of those around you? If I die tomorrow, what are my children going to say? What are they going to think, right? So it pays off to be brutally honest in this area. And so, guys, the idea is that for your bottom 3 or your bottom 4 items in your wheel, you would do this, right? So maybe what I'll do is I'll just make my window smaller so that you can screenshot this if you want. And screenshot that, and then this is what you need to go through for each one of the bottom 4 categories. I wouldn't go any higher than 4. What 4 areas are you going to be doing this with? Which ones? Anybody wants to share? Anybody has any questions? All of a sudden, everybody got really quiet. This is the tough part for sure. Giving yourself those ratings, that allows you to identify the areas that need work, and then, and then this is where we actually do the work. This is where we, like, an action item has to come out of this, right? Like, it cannot be something fluffy. Like, you need to be like, on Wednesdays at 6 p.m. and for 15 minutes, I will, read a book on finance. I will listen to a podcast on budgeting. Like, it needs to be specific. Elizabeth says, money and finance, work and career, spirituality, and fun and recreation. Awesome. Perfect. So, any questions, guys? Do you feel like one of these areas, maybe you don't know how to tackle? Or maybe you don't know what it is, one thing that you should stop doing or one thing that you could start doing? How about you, Trina, Juanita, which area are you going to focus on? Which one are you going to work on? Maybe able to show you one of those books. Daisy, how about you? All right, guys, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to show you. So this is where we were. Oh, comments, yay. Trina says, personal growth, love and partnership, and socializing. Juanita says, working on using my stubbornness for better. I think being stubborn is actually a great trait, because that means you don't quit easy, right? You just need to know when to quit. And when you know you need to quit fast. Holly says, definitely lots to take away and put some thought into it. Yeah, 100%. This is not one of those things that you just watch and then you're like, all right, cool. And then you walk away, right? Like, this can be very powerful, but you definitely need to go through this piece right now. Well, not like right now, but like this piece right here. Juanita says, decisions. Working on using her stubbornness for better decisions. Tanya says, self-acceptance and getting myself to the gym. So awesome, guys. Here's the key to this. What you rated today as a 10 out of 10 is not going to be a 10 out of 10 next year, right? I can tell you that, man, I'm so excited for this retreat that I'm going to go on, because we have the notes that we took last year where we set our goals. And oh man, I get goosebumps, because every one of those goals that I set, and like I like to set big goals, we accomplished. And it was a hell of a year. But 100%, like the Miguel that went to that retreat last year is not the same Miguel that is going to go this year, right? So I invite you to do this often, because you're going to evolve, you're going to grow. As you focus on your money and finance, and your fun and recreation, or your spirituality, other areas may, you're going to draw your attention away from them. So they may suffer a bit, and then you go back and you rebalance, right? This is something that I honestly would suggest that we do, like, at least every quarter, right? Twice a year would be the very least. If you do this once a month, man, you're winning. And you could move through them like this, right? I don't know how long we've been on this so far, but yeah, you could move through them a lot faster once you've done it once, because you're like, got it. And then you would just get to this part right here, right? Boom. What is one thing I need to start doing? And be super specific. Put it in your calendar. Set reminders on your phone. Like, communicate it to your partner. Like, hey man, all right, like I need to have a really good chat with you. Like, there's gonna be a really good chat for you, man. You need to communicate, right? 100%. So Juanita says, I need more community connection and more fun/adventures. Those were the lowest. The rest were above 5. There you go. Perfect. Tanya says, it would be interesting to save it and redo it every year and see how the circle changes every year. Thanks for this, Miguel. Yay. Thank you for attending. So, my friends, that is it. Here's what, if you got something from this, here's what I ask of you. Please don't just shut down your phone, close your computer, and never think of this again. All right? Like, it's important. This is how our lives get better. All right? And I want to bring you a lot more tools like this. And what I need in order to continue to do that is your feedback. All right? It will probably make you feel good to know that you guys, so there's 7 people right now. I can see 7 people that are on this right now. 7 out of 400 people. You 7 to put the time aside to do this, right? And hey, no judgment whatsoever. Everybody has shit. Everybody has shit to do. We did this again yesterday, and in that one there were 3 people. How easy is it to look at our life and just be like, somebody come make it better. But then we shy away from shit like this, right? So I'm making it my mission to bring you guys a lot more of this. I just need to know if it's something that you value. I need to know if this is something you want more of. All right. So please, any feedback, any comments, please send me a private message if you want, and just give it to me there so that I can really digest it. Because as soon as I close this, the comments are gone. Thank you so much. I love your faces. I think I'm gonna get to. Maybe I'll get to see Max before she completely passes out. I'll just give her some kisses. But this was totally worth it. I had a lot of fun. So thank you so much, guys, for sharing this with me. I love your faces. I'll see you soon. Bye. How do I end this thing, man? I don't know. There it is.